You see, most barbers are broke, coasting, or stuck. And it's not because they're not talented or lazy. It's simply because that we were all lied to. You were sold on effort is the thing. You were sold to hustle harder. But in reality, you were not taught the truth of business. And in this video, I'm gonna break down the 3 reasons why most barbers stay broke and the exact shifts I had to make in my business that took me from stuck charging $20 haircuts to growing and scaling my business to over $100 a haircut, and then mentoring over 1,400 other barbers to grow and scale their business upwards of 10, 15, even 20K per month. Reason number 1, education over effort. You see, back when I was like 20, 21, I had zero clue what business even was. I got out of barber school and jumped into a brand new shop with a couple other barbers who just got out of barber school themselves. And all we knew was what the OG barbers would tell us, which is like come in early, stay late, take every single walk-in, make sure you have great customer service. And if you do that long enough, you'll make money. So it's exactly what I did. And for the next 12 months, I literally locked in and gave it my all. I grinded, I got booked out, and I did exactly what they said. But deep down, to be honest, I really started to hate barbering. I was charging 20 bucks a cut. My body was hurting, my soul was hurting. But the scariest part was realizing that this could be my future for the next 20 to 40 years if I literally don't change a thing. All I remember thinking was, is this gonna be my life until like I'm 40 years old, just charging 20 bucks a haircut, you know, like slaving my life away, like 12 hours out of shop, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, year after year? But here was the worst part. I was literally listening to people who didn't know what the fuck they were even doing in their business. It was like the blind just leading the blind. I was just following their advice, just like hoping and praying shit would get better eventually. And that's when I realized I don't have a work ethic problem. I had a business knowledge problem. I would look around and I would see all the guys who are winning in life, who are making a shit ton of cash in whatever business. And I was like, there's no difference between me and them, at least on a human level. The only difference that there was that they just knew more than me about business. Again, they weren't more talented. They weren't like better off or had an ideal situation they were born into. They just acquired the skills and the education that I didn't have. So I made a decision. I'm gonna stop guessing on my business and start actually learning what this damn thing is. And that's when everything changed. Look, as barbers, we've all been taught how to hustle. We have no problem doing that. But you can't outwork ignorance. I mean, just look at every booked and broke barber as like living proof of that. Hard work in this day and age means nothing without education. Because the real money in barbering came when I learned how to get attention, how to market my business, convert on new higher paying clients, learn how to actually price myself based on value, not just how much hard work and time I put in my business. It came when I was actually able to track and predictably grow and scale my business, not just guess my way through. Because effort is fuel, but education is the GPS. You can be gassed up all you want, fueled to the fucking brim with drive and motivation, and still completely lost in this game. Because what I learned is if you don't learn how to grow and scale a business, if you don't know business in general, you're just gonna be a slave to working harder and harder each and every single day for the same fucking result. And that's the trap we're all sold. However, education is the exit sign you need to take. Lesson number 2, mindset is the ceiling. Now, once I started learning business, I started realizing, you know, all these big players in the game, they were raising their prices. They were charging more for their service, even if it was not in the barber industry. And I'll be honest, that put a pit in my stomach. It was something I didn't want to do, is charge higher price points. I didn't want to come off as greedy. I remember thinking, are people going to judge me? Are people going to think I'm a bad person? Are people going to think I'm greedy now and not deserving of, like, let's say that higher price point? Are they going to think I'm dumb? And somehow I built this like idea in my head that making more money, charging more for my prices was like this god-awful selfish thing and selfish act to do. And it was almost like a sin. I thought if I charged more, I would actually be a bad person. And that kept me stuck for way too long until I read something that completely snapped me out of like that bad mental funk. It simply said this: charging less money for your services doesn't help anyone. It actually hurts everyone, including yourself. And I just had to realize, like, damn, am I being like this like martyr figure who's like hoping and praying if I go through enough suffering that one day I'm gonna be like rewarded for all my suffering I'm doing for everyone? And when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I kind of am. I'm thinking that if I suffer long enough, if I go through enough pain and sacrifice enough for everyone else, if I keep my prices low, if I stay realistic, if I stay humble, one day the universe is somehow gonna magically bless me. But life doesn't work like that. Life doesn't reward suffering. It rewards those who build and act. And by charging lower prices, I was screwing the most important person in my life, which was me. I couldn't support myself in the future. I couldn't support my family or even grow. But here's the craziest part. Once I actually did get over that fear of raising prices or over that bad mental funk, my clients didn't hate me. In fact, they actually respected me more. They told me I started motivating them to do more in life, to do better in life, to push themselves, to get uncomfortable, because they saw me getting uncomfortable in my own business and growing and scaling. And That inspired them. And just hearing that, my confidence immediately rose. It shot up through the roof because I realized I was holding more people back by keeping my prices low. And I was holding from them that motivation, that drive, that inspiration that they were looking for to push their lives forward, which is what I actually wanted at the end of the day. I wanted to inspire. I wanted to motivate my clients to do more, to uplift themselves, to help their families out. You see, most barbers think charging more is selfish and a bad thing. But the truth is, the real selfish act here is keeping your prices low and keeping your loved ones, the clients you serve, and even yourself from the life that you deserve and the inspiration, the drive, and the motivation that you guys are required to have. Because keeping prices low is just a fear-driven decision. And fear never leads to freedom. You can't grow if you can't lead. You can't lead if you can't live. And you can't serve if you're starving yourself. It's like the gas mask theory. If the plane is going down, if everything's like going to shit, all the gas masks drop down, you don't put other people's gas masks on first, because that's not how you're gonna save the plane. You save the plane, your loved ones, your family, by putting on your gas mask first, so you can help more people out and save them as well too. Raise your value, raise your belief, or you could stay stuck blaming your location as the reason why you can't scale your prices, while barbers in the next city over are charging 5 times more than what you are right now, all because they don't limit themselves. Lesson number 3, clarity is the advantage. Now, even after raising my prices, making some more money, and learning business, there was still like one thing that was like weirdly off, and I could feel it. Yeah, I was making a little bit more money, and yeah, I felt like, okay, cool, I'm progressing the business, but I just didn't feel like I was actually in control of things. I didn't know how much I made. I definitely didn't know how much I was spending each and every single month. I was basically winging it month to month, just hoping and praying things are gonna work out for the good. It was kind of like a feeling that was like reminding me of like the first time I moved out when I was like 19 years old. My rent at the time was about $400. I was renting a house with 3 other buddies. I was making about $1,000 a month. I was doing valet at the time. I was cutting hair a little bit, going to barber school, and I thought, you know what? To me, that maths. I think I'll be good. I'll be saving $600. But then I got blindsided. I got blindsided by bills, deposits, and I realized, holy fuck, I'm not in a good position whatsoever. And literally within weeks of me moving out in my first house, I was literally broke again. Fast forward to when I was cutting hair again, to making some money, learning business, raising my prices. I fell into the same trap, except this time I was actually making more money, but I just didn't have any clarity. I had no systems. I had no tracking to tell me am I actually keeping the money I'm making? And when I finally sat down to run my numbers, I realized that probably the thing that no barber wants to realize whatsoever, any business owner, is I'm not doing as good as I thought I was. I was basically breaking even at just a higher income level. And that's when it hit me. Growth without clarity or even tracking on what's actually going on is just chaos in disguise. So like anybody else that'll probably be in that situation, I actually started tracking my business. I tracked my income, my expenses, my profits, my price raises, my clients, my new clients booked, my marketing. And that clarity gave me control. And that control actually gave me freedom in my business. You might have heard the saying, whatever gets measured gets managed. And you can't grow what you don't manage at all. And you're not stuck as a barber because you're bad at business or because you just can't make things happen. You're stuck because you're completely blind to the reality of what's actually going on. You see, most barbers are guessing their way through this game. They're guessing on what to post, guessing when and how much they should be raising their prices, and really guessing on how healthy their business actually is at that current time. And to be quite fucking blunt, that's not business at the end of the day. That's just gambling at Vegas. Because you see, the elite barbers, they treat their business, they treat their hustle, they treat their grind, they treat it like a franchise. They know their numbers, they track their performance, and they move with precision, not panic and chaos. Because clarity is the unfair edge you get in business and in this competition. Without it, you're just gonna be working like a dog, harder and harder each and every single day inside of a foggy mist. So if you're still stuck, just ask yourself, do you know business, or are you just winging it? Are you scared to raise prices because of the fear of what people might say or what people might judge you? Or are you ready to lead? Are you guessing your way through business, or are you growing with clarity? I built a free 30-minute training that breaks this all down. And if you want to learn how barbers in your city, your area, your state, your country are growing to 15 and 30K months inside their barber business, not by working harder, but by working smarter, all without burning themselves out, then go to the comments, click the link that I'm going to have in the first pinned comment by me, and it'll take you to that free 30-minute training. Because at the end of the day, barbering is the skill, but business is the freedom. And in 2025 and beyond, you must learn both or stay average in this industry.